Hey Facebook, how you guys doing? It is time for Let's Talk About It. So I am going to dive right into this subject. I am so excited about it. As you come on, I will acknowledge everybody at the end. I want you all to make your comments and I'm going to try to flow with this thing. And then at the end, we'll talk about, we'll start getting comments for everybody. So I'm very excited for everybody who's on. Hello, everyone. I will individually identify you at the end so we can just flow with it. This is so exciting. Okay, so tonight's topic is honor your truth. And this, I do believe, was Donna's subject that she brought up. So to just start off really quickly, to find joy, passion, and purpose, we're talking about honoring your truth. To feel the lightness that comes with release. Honoring your truth can be really hard. It means to have to set and honor boundaries, release people and relationships from your life, make big and small changes, and venture into the unknown at times. Okay, so that's just like a broad response to what is honoring your truth. But I did some research and I found so much great information about this topic and so many people's perspectives, and I really want you guys to share and your perspective with me as we move forward in this. Okay, so the first article I want to share with you, I found on this site called Emotionally Resilient Living. I even like the name of that website, right? So this particular young lady, Marquita Harold, wrote an article, and the title of her article was What It Means to Live Your Truth. So Marquita says that, well, she asked the question, what does it mean to you? So you have to think about, what does it mean to you to live your truth, to honor your truth? What does that mean to you? You know, think about that and put it in the comment section. Does it make you think of authenticity, honesty, integrity, living your values and walking your talk? What does it make you think of? The easy answer is that your truth is rooted in your belief system, okay? So your belief system. So honoring your truth is going to be different for every person. Your perspective is different. Your values are different. Sorry about Coco. He's playing with a ball and it's making noise, but I want him to be, content. So excuse me for that distraction. So the easy answer is that it's rooted in your belief system. It's the things that you feel and say to yourself behind your public mask. Okay? So, but this is where things get sticky, she says, because with each of us, there is a gap between our truth and the person that we show the world. Okay? So how wide is that gap for you? How wide is the gap between the true you and the person that everybody else sees? Okay, so are you really being transparent? Is the person that you really are the person that I see? Okay, so she says, it's of course human nature to want to be liked and respected, but in our efforts to be accepted, we often put tremendous pressure on ourselves to fit in, and at the very least, to not stand out in a way that makes us feel exposed or foolish. So we end up masking or manipulating our most vulnerable feelings, opinions, and desires in an effort to avoid judgment, discomfort, or rejection. So when you think about some of your values and you think about some of your opinions and you think about some of your approaches to situations, is that authentically you? Or is that the you that you feel like you should be? Is that the you that you feel like you should project? Is that the you that you feel like people are expecting? So how much of you is really authentically you? That was profound for me, because Marquita talks about how at some point we have to really separate who we are, and how much of who we are is because of that's really who we are, and that's who we really are okay with being. That's who That's what our values really are. Our value, our core really is. Or is it that person that we have formed, that we have manipulated because we're so busy people pleasing? That was amazing to me. So she said, living your truth will free you. She said it's important to understand that learning to live your truth isn't about changing or fixing you. It's about freeing you to be the confident, powerful person you were meant to be. Isn't that good? And honoring the truth through actions and communications with others as well as yourself. Life is about change, and that includes occasionally bumping up against obstacles and managing unexpected detours. So we have this plan. We have this ideal. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go that way. There's going to be detours. There's going to be obstacles, and you need to be able to move around those obstacles and those detours without changing where you intend to go. Okay, so don't allow things and people to manipulate and move you, and then you end up completely changing direction. You were going south, and all of a sudden now you're going west. And it's not because you want to go west. It's not because west is making you better. It's because west was expected from somebody else. Okay, so she's saying having a strong sense of self enhances your resilience and provides you with an anchor that enables you to face challenges with a more balanced outlook, confident that regardless of what happens, you'll be okay. I thought that was really good. And then she says, living your truth means that your relationships with others can be based on a mutual respect rather than the disempowering need for external validation. So you really have to be mindful of that. We have to be mindful of that. Support is always a good thing. But when you have the confidence to accept what's right for you, it releases from the need of approval of others. So you have to, you're having support is great, but you don't want to be so reliant on that support that you change or manipulate where you're going or what you're doing just because the support is steering you in a different direction. Living your truth. The reality is that no matter how hard we try, you're never going to satisfy everyone. You're never going to satisfy everyone. And it's an illusion, according to Marquita, to think otherwise. Being authentic in a way, you communicate your feelings and opinions as the core attribute to living your truth. So let me read that again. Being authentic in the way you communicate your feelings and opinions is the core attribute of living your truth. So to uncover your truth, Marquita says you can start by asking yourself the following questions. You can use these questions to begin this process. What do you stand for? So ask yourself, what do I stand for? What are your core values? What are your strengths and your weaknesses? What limiting beliefs do you have about yourself? That's important because our limiting beliefs sometimes really direct us because we respond to the belief or the unbelief that we have in our ability to do whatever that thing is. Okay, do you have personal standards and boundaries? Okay, do you honor your limitations? What makes you happy and how can you have more of that? What does your heart secretly long for? So according to Marquita, these are some of the questions that you can begin to ask yourself to see if you are living your truth. This was an excellent article. I encourage you to check out that website, Emotionally Resilient Living. They have great information on that website. So then I came across this article that was entitled Expressing Your Truth, Honoring Your Authentic Self. Okay, and this was by someone called, their name is Kat Zaghi, I think is Zaghi. So I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. So Kat says, sometimes we find resistance and inner chatter that might go against expressing our truth. You hear that? Resistance or inner chatter. What's inner chatter? It's all these thoughts. It's all these messages. It's all these messages that we're playing. Okay? One of the biggest fears I believe people suffer, this is what Kat is saying, one of the biggest fears I believe people suffer from is the fear of freely expressing who we really are, regardless of who will accept or approve of us. We can liberate ourselves from this obstructive cycle of being aware of the perfect image we have created in our minds that tells us that this is how we need to be, or this is how we need to act in order to be accepted and beloved. Okay? So Kat says, remember that as you keep rising to be the best you can be, those people who cannot do the same might default, consciously or unconsciously, to try to bring you down to mediocre. So if you're not careful and you're not true to yourself and to where you believe you should be going, you may inadvertently allow other people to make you take a step back. So you can't take everybody with you. So sometimes you have to let some folks go because they're not ready to go where you're going. Okay? That's profound. Okay, let me go on. I'm just highlighting certain areas in this article that I thought were really, really good, but the whole article is great. So check it out. Again, it's Kat Zaghi, Z-A-G-H-I, and the article is entitled Expressing Your Truth, Honoring Your Authentic Self. The article is phenomenal, but I'm only going to cover little bits of it. So Kat says that one universal form of self-expression is communication, which truly reflects our life as it is mirrored from our powerful words, the powerful words that we use to create the thoughts, beliefs that we communicate with ourselves and others. So remember, he says that we communicate with ourselves. So you have to watch what messages you're sending to yourself. Your self-talk needs to be positive. Okay? And the nonverbal communication from our body language and actions. Okay? So how we communicate reflects the foundation of our relationships with ourselves, our integrity, self-respect, self-worth, and self-acceptance. Okay? Then Kat says, in order to practice honoring your authentic self, how often throughout your day do you hold back from saying how you truly feel? Does your energy of how you feel match your actions and communications? Are you aligned with your inner core self, and does your expressions reflect that? Sometimes we might withhold our true feelings and self-expression because we become wrapped up with how someone else might perceive us. We might limit our own inner beauty and diminish our light for the sake of not hurting someone else's feelings or triggering their nerves of fear for not being liked or accepted for who we really are. So how much of us is because we are trying to people please? Okay? And okay, I'm going to say that for a minute. Let me keep going. The fears that can control us if we do not have the awareness and the intention to move past them. We cannot control how others will feel or if they will like us or not. But we do have the inner power and control to accept and like ourselves and to strengthen our relationship with our truth, to freely express who we are. So we have the control to be true to self. But how often do we relinquish that control because we are trying to please someone else? Okay? Now that could be pleasing a parent. It could be pleasing a significant other. It could be pleasing a boss. It could be pleasing a child. It could be pleasing a friend. you really have to find out or analyze, am I being true to me? Am I being true to me, or I'm being true to the expectation of someone else? I thought that was phenomenal. So this article is really, really good. I really want you to check out this article, Kat Zaki. Check that out. Now, I found also another article, and it's entitled Honor Your Truth. And this article is by a Mark Nepo, and it's actually excerpts from a book that Mark wrote called The Book of the Awakening, Having the Life You Want by Being Present in the Life You Have. I mean, just the title of that book. Did you hear the title of that book? Having the Life You Want by Being Present in the Life You Have. Are you present in your current life? Are you present in your current life? That's good. Just that title is something to chew on for a minute. So, Mark says, living through enough, we all come to this understanding, though it is difficult to accept. No matter what path we choose to honor, there will always be conflict to negotiate. If we choose to avoid all conflict with others, we will eventually breed a poisonous conflict within ourselves. Stay with me with this, because this is deep. Listen to this. Mark says, likewise, if we manage to attend our inner lives, who we are will sooner or later create some discord with those who would rather have us be something else. I'm going to read that again. If we manage to attend our inner lives, who we are will sooner or later create some discord with those who would rather us be something else. So he's talking about sooner or later who you really are, depending on where you are in your internal growth, is going to conflict with someone who's not ready to grow to that level. So you have to make a decision about that particular relationship or that circumstance. Are you going to go, or are you going to stay? Did you see what happened when I said stay? What did you do? You had to do this. You have to go. Okay? In effect, the cost of being who we are is that you can't possibly meet everyone's expectation. And so there will inevitably be external conflict to deal with. The friction of being visible. Mark is amazing. This is really an amazing article. So I'm really going to go through the whole article because it's really short. Still, the cost of not being who we are is that while you are busy pleasing or pleasuring everyone around you, a precious part of you is dying inside. In this case, there will be external conflict to deal with and the friction of being invisible. Is that good? Okay. Then it says, as for me, this is Mark, it's taken me 30 of my 49 years to realize that not being who I am is more deadly, and it has taken the last 19 years to try to make a practice of it. That's when you get to the point that you realize that you lost who you were, and you realize that who you were was really who everybody else wanted you to be. So then you got to go back and figure out, who am I? And try to recapture all of that. What this means in a daily way, according to Mark, is that you have to be conscientious about being truthful and resist the urge to accommodate your truth away. Okay? I'm going to read that again. What this means in a daily way, you have to be conscientious about being truthful and resist the urge to accommodate your truth away. You accommodate your truth away by being who everybody else wants you to be, who living up to everybody else's expectations. Now, I'm not talking about accepting people who really are trying to help you to get to the next level. I'm talking about people deciding, oh, you should be this way, or you should want this, or you should go in this direction, or you should want this career, or you should want to aspire to be this, when that's not at all where you want it to go. It means that being who you really are is not forbidden or muted just because others are uncomfortable or don't want to hear it. Center yourself. Mark is saying, these are Mark's very, very encouraging suggestions. Center yourself and meditate on a decision before that might generate some conflict, either within you, if you withhold who you are, or between yourself and others, if you exert who you are. Breathe steadily and feel both the friction of being invisible and the friction of being visible. So are you going to be invisible? Are you going to hide your inner desires, your inner desires to grow and go in a certain direction? Are you going to mask that in order to please somebody else? So you're going to be invisible or you're going to be visible. Breathe slowly and know that you are larger than any moment of conflict. This too shall pass. Breathe deeply and know that you are and can withstand the experience of conflict that living requires. Don't be afraid of that friction. Don't be afraid of holding true to who you are. Don't be afraid of those relationships that might have to be severed. Don't be afraid of those people that you might have to leave behind. Don't be afraid of those doors you're going to have to close yourself because you're ready to go. You got to go. Okay? That was an excellent article. Again, that was by Mark Nepo. So then I looked at this article by Elizabeth Potts Weinstein, and she actually had a Twitter segment on what does it mean to live your truth. And this was really, really powerful. And the part that I'm going to pull from this article that I had for her is other people were sharing what it meant, what living your truth meant to them. And I want you to type in, what does living and honoring your truth mean to you? I want you to type that in, okay? Because I'm going to go over that when I finish this. I want to share, so I need you all to interact with me. But I'm going to read what some of the people had put on her live Twitter feed when she did this article. So what does living and honoring your truth mean to you? So I'm just going to read what some of the other people said. Someone said that it means actively letting go of what others want from you and listening to that inner voice. It means letting the real and best you out of its hiding spot, being courteous to others, but not letting them persuade your actions and words. So I like that. Knowing what you are and are not responsible for, not doing anything that doesn't fit your vision for yourself. I like that one. For me, this person says, living your truth is saying no when I mean no, and yes when I mean yes. Disregarding the shoulds, or at least questioning, why should I? That's what someone else said. Someone else, Lisa Hines, says, living your truth means staying in a centered place, honoring my true self in everything that I do. Janice said, getting rid of barriers, real and imagined. For me, it's living my values, was another person's response. Someone else said, having the courage to say what I mean what I say, and do what I love, and love what I do in all things. Someone else said, practicing outwardly what my inner self knows intuitively. I like that. Keeping soul level promises that I make to myself. I like that one. Keeping soul level promises I make to myself. It's like you're always making sure that everybody else is okay. But are you making sure that you're okay? Hold on one second. All right. I had to take the ball. Okay. For me, it's simply just being myself instead of trying to be perfect. Someone else wrote, it's living and operating with honesty integrity, and decency. Someone else said, doing what's right for me, not what anyone else thinks or wants. Living my truth means walking my talk, speaking what I think and doing what I speak. I like that. Speaking what I think and doing what I speak. Walking your talk. True Life Coach said, it's about honoring my core values and trusting my gut. How many times have we felt something? You felt something, and yet you did something else. Like you knew you should go right, and you went left. Okay, that right was you, and you compromised, and you did something else. For whatever reason, we got to figure out why we're doing that something else. That's what needs to be corrected. Being yourself no matter what others might think of you, staying true to your values, making sure my purpose and values are not compromised by my head worrying about what others think. How many times are we worrying about what other people are going to think, what other people expect us to do, what other people want from us, and we're doing according to that message, that messaging. Living my truth means not feeling guilty for doing what I intuitively feel I should be doing right now. Okay? For me, living my truth means to show up. I like this one. Living my truth means to show up as myself. Always push myself past my fears and say the hard truth. Showing myself means showing up as myself. Like, I'm here and I'm me. I'm present and I'm me. I'm pushing past my fears. Wow, that's good. Not being afraid to take that leap of faith, facing down the fear and moving forward into uncertainty. So facing that fear and keeping it moving, not allowing it to deter you. It also means saying no when that's what's best for me. And this person said that's something that they didn't used to do. So that goes back to that other person's comment when they said saying no when I mean no and yes when I mean yes. Living my truth means knowing my vision and allowing that to be my life. Someone else said living my truth means being fearless without recklessness. Someone else said simply doing instead of worrying. How many times have you wanted to do something, but you allowed fear to keep you from doing that? Whether it's reaching a goal, whether it's, going to the next level, challenging yourself, taking part in something, but you didn't do it because you were worrying about the outcome or what other people would think. Having complete trust in my intuition and my gut, speaking and living my truth with compassion and clarity, getting out of my head and listening to my heart, my intuition. How many times have you been in your head? How many times have you just gotten sidetracked by all of that chatter going on in there? All of those messages of discouragement, all of those messages of what you can and cannot do, what you can and cannot achieve, what you should not be reaching for. Okay, so not following the crowd, marching to my own drum. And the last person said, giving myself permission to be big and small and loving myself in any state. That was really good. So, William says, stand for not to bend. Stand for you and not bend. Yes, not allow yourself to be manipulated and twisted and turned. William also said, and I'm going to go back to this quote. I have it on my board. Earlier this week, this is one of my babies from Frederick Douglass High School, and he has been blowing my socks off with his quotes. And one of his quotes this week, he said, we must be stretched in order to be strengthened. Isn't that good? Isn't that powerful? So, honoring your truth is really, really being bold. It's being brazen. It's being determined. It's being fearless. It's being okay with maybe having to go down the road all by yourself. It's being okay with leaving relationships. It's being okay with leaving situations. It's being okay with growing beyond and not being able to take everybody with you. It's being okay with being different. It's being okay with maybe walking by yourself, because where you're going is not where everybody else is going. It's being okay with your dreams and your aspirations. It's being okay with however big your dream is. And sometimes your dream and your goal and your desire is too large for the company that you're keeping. So you can't be supported by them because they can't see that far. They can't see that picture. So in order for you to stay with them, you have to come down. You have to come back. You have to settle. You have to reduce yourself. And that article says you have to be mediocre. You have to take a step back because they're not ready to go. They're not equipped, whether intentionally or unintentionally, they're not equipped to take that step. And honoring your truth is saying, I got to go, whether you can go or not. I got to go. I got to keep moving. I got to keep growing. I got to keep, pushing. So honoring your truth is really being true to you and being okay with what that means. Being okay with what comes with that. Being okay with those growing pains. Being okay with having to be something greater. So Stacy says, living your truth means for me, it's being honest with myself and others, and it's okay to say no, mean it, and move on. Living with no hesitation and fear, and loving myself enough to know when to stand. I have to see more. Knowing, wait a minute, wait a minute, hold on. Knowing when to say and when to leave. Okay, wait a minute. Let me read that again because I lost something. Living my truth means for me is being honest with myself and others. And it's okay to say no, mean it, and move on. Living with no hesitation and fear of loving myself enough to know when to stay and when to leave. Yes, when you have to go, because when everybody is not going to stay on the same train. There's a green line, there's a yellow line, there's a red line, there's a blue line, there's an orange line. I think they're coming out with a silver line and a purple line. I don't catch a train no more. But sometimes you get on the train and you got these same people and y'all on the same train. But then you got to transfer. And you got to get on another train. And they might stay on that train. And then you get on that next train. And you're going and you're going. And sometimes you got to get off that train because you're going someplace else. Y'all not always going to the same place. And even if you are going to the same place, you are not going to arrive at the same time. And you have to be okay with that. You might get there first. You have to be okay with getting there first. You have to be okay with being a leader. You have to be okay with being solo. Because sometimes you're going to have to go it alone. Sometimes you're going to have to just walk that path by yourself because nobody else is on that path at that same time. It doesn't mean that they're not going to be on that path, but they might not be on that path when you're on that path. And you don't want to wait because you might miss your connecting train. You might miss your connecting flight. You have got to get off when you're supposed to get off and get on that next plane or get on that next train because that's your connecting flight. And you don't want to miss it because you're waiting for somebody else to get their baggage and get on their plane. Y'all might not be arriving at the same time. You might supposed to get there first, or you might supposed to take a detour because your path and your direction requires something else. You need to pick up something else along the way. So you might have to hook a left or hook a right. And that person might just be going straight, and you need to be okay with that. So what does honoring your truth mean to you? I got a lot of people on here. William has spoke up. Stacy has spoke up. John, I need you to tell me what honoring your truth means to you. Ozo, I need you to tell me, what does honoring your truth mean to you? Sherry, tell me what honoring your truth means to you. Robin, tell me what honoring your truth means to you. What does it mean to you? To me, honoring my truth for Sarwa Kenyetta means being okay with where I'm going, being okay with being different, being okay with standing out, being okay with going it alone, if being okay with letting go of relationships, being okay with letting go of different situations, being okay with moving on and growing. It doesn't mean that when I say letting go of relationships, it could be changing. That relationship is going to change. You might go from seeing someone all the time to seeing them every once in a while. It might go with talking to someone all the time to talking to someone every once in a while. You might enroll in a school, and now you're going in different directions. You're learning new things. You're exposed to new situations that other person isn't exposed to, and you'll share that stuff with them. But that might not be what they want to do. So you're sitting up here worrying about leaving someone behind, and they don't even want to go with you. So why are you waiting for them? They don't even want to go where you're going, and you're worried about leaving them. Okay, so William says, we are Generation Next. They keep saying X, but they know they can't shake us. You can love from a distance. Yes, you can. You can. You can love from a distance. But keep in mind that just because you're growing and you're moving in another direction, it doesn't mean that's a bad thing for someone else, because they're growing too. They have paths too, and their paths might not be the direction that you're going in. So stop worrying about everybody else and worry about you. Get your stuff together. Get your stuff together. Get your stuff in order. Make sure that you are true to you. Make sure that you're going in the direction that you're supposed to be going in. Make sure that you're honoring your truth by being diligent and committed to you. Hey, Mary, tell me, we're at the segment right now where I'm acknowledging everybody that's on the actual, in the actual event. Thank you for coming. And we're talking about honoring your truth. So I want you to tell me, what does honoring your truth mean to you? What does it mean to you to honor your truth? So Mary, share that with me as we are going through this segment. Because the information that I gathered, the information that I found in here was so profound. It was so good. And it really, really boils down to you just really letting go of fear, letting go of people's ideals for you, letting go of people's expectations of you. How many, parents say, my child is going to grow up and be a doctor, or my child is going to grow up and be this. Well, maybe not. Is your child living up to your expectation, or is your child living up to theirs? Is that what your child wants to be because that's their truth? Or are they trying to live up to who you want them to be? Did you do that? Did you live up to who your parents wanted you to be? Now, of course, our parents want us to be successful. They want us to be independent. They want us to be successful and financially independent. Those are great things. But in terms of, wait a minute, let me plug in my battery because it's saying my battery low. But in terms of, sorry guys, I gotta plug this in so I won't. Are you living up to your parents' expectations? Are you living up to your significant others' expectations? Are you living up to your children's expectations, your grandparents' expectations, or are you being true to you? You have to figure out, why are you doing the things that you're doing? What the things that you want? Is it because those are things that you want, or those are things that you want based on messages that you've received all your life, or things that you thought other people wanted for you? Stacy says, I have found that family members have the hardest time of allowing you to be yourself. That is so true. That is so true. You could be getting your, how many of you are the first to go to college in your family, or the first to reach a academic level in your family, and you're told that they think they something because they got this? Yeah, I am something. That's not a bad thing to aspire to be greater. It's not a bad. So you have to decide, are you okay with those things? Are you okay with being different? Are you okay with growing? Are you okay with being a leader? The leader of the pack. Is that something that you're okay with? So we have really gone far beyond the 30 minutes. I try to keep it to 30 minutes. It is now 7:41, and I apologize, but this was a very, very good segment. So I just want to thank you guys for being on. Thank you, Stacy and William, for sharing with me. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I really want you to think about what honoring your truth. I'm making sure I didn't miss anybody's comment. I want you to really, really think about what it is that you want, what it is that you value. What are your core values? What are what is your belief system, and where did that come from? Is it your belief system? Is it your value, or is it someone else's belief system? Is it somebody else's value? Let's figure that out. Google honoring your truth and read some of those articles out there. It is a wealth of information, and it's great, and it gives you a lot of food for thought. It gives you a lot of things to chew on, a lot of little nuggets to think about, because we need to be true to ourselves. We need to know what we want. We need to know who we are. We need to know where we're going, and we need to know why we're going there, and make sure that we're on the path that we're supposed to be on. Are you living your purpose? Are you meditating and asking and finding out what God placed you here for? And are you moving in that direction? Be bold, be brazen, be independent, be determined, be you. I encourage you to enjoy your week. This is the beginning of a beautiful week. This is the first week of July. I pray that you have a prosperous and productive week. I pray that you have a very, very happy and safe 4th. If you do the whole fireworks thing, I want you to be safe. I want you to have a good time. Don't eat too much. Make sure you know who cooked that food. Don't be getting sick and ptomaine poison. It's going to be hot outside. So y'all make sure y'all watching what you're doing. Be safe. Have a wonderful week. I pray that you have traveling mercies everywhere you go this week. And I will see you on Monday morning with my little words of wisdom. I will see you Monday, Wednesday, or Friday at the beginning of your work week, the middle of your work week, and the end of your standard work week. I thank you for tuning in, and I pray that you guys have an awesome rest of your evening. Peace.